and I will go ahead and start, and then we can just popcorn it over to each other. My name is Theo Latta. I'm a PCCEP staff member. I use he, him pronouns. I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to see Stephanie, who I haven't met before, and Gloria. I believe this is your first youth subcommittee meeting.
It is.
Board. And I will pass it over to my colleague, Claudia.
All right, welcome everyone. My name is Claudia. I'm the project assistant for PCCEP, and thank you guys for being here while we, we start this discussion on the next steps that we hope to see this subcommittee go to. So thanks for being here.
All right.
Gloria, would you introduce yourself, please?
My name is Gloria Kenson. I don't know why I put me on there the first time, but she or her, it's what I'd like to, is my pronoun. And I'm glad to be here. Trying to see what I can learn.
Thank you very much, Gloria. Stephanie, would you introduce yourself?
Hi, yes, good evening, good afternoon, wherever we are, if I lose track of time. My pronouns are she and her. I'm the mayor's public safety advisor. I'm taking the place of Robert King. So for those of you who worked with Robert King, just think of me as trying to pick up where he left off.
Thanks for being here. It's good to have a liaison in here. Jared, would you mind introducing yourself?
Hey there, my name is Jared Hager. I use he, him pronouns. I'm with the United States Department of Justice, and I'm the monitor of a settlement agreement between the United States and the city of Portland. And appreciate you having me here.
Thank you, Jared. I always appreciate seeing your face. It looks like we have a phone number calling on. I won't read the phone number aloud, but if the person calling on the phone could introduce themselves, that would be great.
This is Rochelle Silver. I'm a psychologist and a member of the Mental Health Alliance.
Thank you, Dr. Silver. So we've done some introductions. Claudia, it looks like, had an icebreaker. So just if we could go around one more time, just as a check-in question, and talk about what our goals for the fall are. And I like this question. Mine is to get out in my canoe at least once a week before it's too cold to do so with my son, Sage. I'm going to mix up the order. Dr. Silver, would you go next? What are your goals for this fall?
The goals for this fall are to encourage everybody I know to get vaccinated so that we can get out of this system we're in right now.
Thank you very much.
That's it.
Jared, what is your goal for this fall?
That's a good one, Theo. I appreciate Dr. Silver's goal. For me, I've been knee deep in work, and my goal would be for this fall to resolve our ongoing enforcement action against the city so that we can get back just to the business of compliance and monitoring. To do that, we're going to need an effective mediation. We've had one session of mediation so far. I think it was mixed, but I'm hopeful that with a couple of more sessions, we can get that resolved and get back to the business of compliance with the settlement agreement.
Thank you, Jared. Stephanie, what do you hope to do this fall?
Well, I like your canoeing. I have a nice Winona canoe that I like to take out and fish from. I had lots of goals to do some of that, a lot of fishing, especially salmon fishing this time of year with my son. And then I took this job. So I don't know what my goals are going to be, except to learn this job and try to do the best I can for the city.
Appreciate that work. Winona canoes are beautiful. I have a Navarro. It's pretty. Gloria, what is your goal for this fall?
Well, I'd like to gently move from retirement, become more active in the city government, and I'm especially concerned with the youth in our community. So I look forward to working with this committee and finding out as much as I can.
Well, thank you very much. And Claudia, this is your question. I thank you for it. What do you hope to accomplish this fall?
Yeah, when putting this question together, I really just wanted to like hear other people's goals because like my personal goal is to just tap back in with my creative side. So hopefully like on rainy days, write some poems.
Oh, good.
Story.
I hope we get to hear some of them. So it looks like in terms of the agenda, I don't know if our chair, as you know, as I stated earlier, Alana has resigned from the PCCEP because of college commitments. Alana is a young person who has a lot of commitments, and she's been with the PCCEP for a while now, but she felt that it was time to move on. So I certainly support our youth taking their next steps and all of that. So we don't have a definitive facilitator for this meeting. So until I'm stopped, I'm just gonna run with the facilitation. And if somebody wants to stop me and jump in, then please do so. I've been told I have a voice that puts people to sleep, and I don't want to do that because I know it's getting later on in the evening. So we try to avoid that. But the next piece of the agenda is just the next steps of the subcommittee. So Gloria, you are the only PCCEP member here. Thanks, Jared. You are the only PCCEP member here. So we really just wanted to talk about what you envision as an effective subcommittee. I know that you've worked with youth for many decades, and I wanted to see what you thought a positive direction would be, and then any community comment with that would be great. We also have attorneys and city employees who are members of the community, and your input is needed as well. But the point of this is just to really get a new and good direction of this subcommittee. Even when youth were on this subcommittee, for a while, they've been not able to engage in meetings as much as they'd like because of school commitments and because of education capacity. So we really want to try to fix that where it can be fixed. And I mean, this subcommittee is an important one. So we want to keep it and cultivate it and be supportive as necessary. We just want to talk about next steps of the subcommittee.
Okay. The next step, as I see it, would probably be to recruit more youth or some youth. And then I think we should survey how they feel about their relationship with the city, you know, and if part of the reason that we don't have more youth is because of a trust level or what it is, I think we have a little background work to do. So that's the first three things that come to mind. One being the recruitment of more youth, take the place of those who are no longer with us.
Yeah, I really appreciate that. I spent 3 hours on Thursday of last week going to a variety of different youth-based community organizations as well as universities. In 2019, the PCCEP plan was amended to include youth that were up to age 24 that could fall under the youth category. So that included college students because we felt like college students were engaged in this kind of work, so it felt like a really good marriage of youth in a more broad scope. So I feel that, I hear it. We're trying to ramp up our recruitment of specifically youth folks. We do have some good adults, but yeah, that's great.
How about high school age? Like seniors and juniors?
Yeah, so we have good connections, or we have some connections with PPS. There's also Park Rose, and there's the other school district in the starts with an R.
Reynolds?
David
David
Douglas.
Douglas?
Douglas. So we have connections with those folks, as well as their equity and inclusion folks at PPS. So we've reached out. Their issue is trying to, right now, at least from what I've heard, I've only heard from PPS, but they're trying to engage their students in their own curricula right now, and they don't feel like they have the bandwidth to really send very many students out to extra stuff, because of so much of their stuff has been strained in terms of academics, which I suppose I understand. But yeah, that was the original sentiment behind the PCCEP plan, was for high school age students and high school age youth members.
Theo,
Yeah,
can I ask a question?
please.
Have you reached out? I know Britt and Taj and maybe Alana too were members of the Multnomah County Youth Commission. And those are folks who are, very engaged and active, and might be a source of new members for PCCEP. And the other suggestion I had was there's a thing called the Portland Urban Debate League, which provides an accessible, competitive high school policy debate. And I know last season I used to be a high school debater here in Portland, and then debating in college. Last year, it was criminal justice reform, which touched on, both the back end of criminal justice and the front end, policing. So that might be a fertile area for getting youth members who are already interested in the idea and the topic, and would have a great set of ideas. And that might be just a place, high functioning youth members, youth in our community who would be, potentially interested in having the impact that you can have with the PCCEP. So that's just two suggestions I had, is Multnomah County Youth Commission, and then the Portland Urban Debate League. You might consider reaching out to them for recruitment.
Thank you, Jared. I will certainly do that.
Yeah, I just quickly share too. So back in July, the former youth members wanted to also do youth related work with PPB. So I think that would be good to reconnect with PPB and just see what type of youth related work they're doing and how we can just stay connected.
So it sounds like recruitment is one of the bigger things there seems to be some consensus on recruitment and retention of youth members. And I'm in agreement with that. Are there any other things that we should really be cognizant of?
One thought I had is, if the PCCEP, I know there's a set aside in the plan for youth members, and that was an important ask of the Albina Ministerial Alliance when the PCCEP was formed. But that doesn't necessarily mean there needs to be a designated youth committee. And I know there's been spotty history with this committee. I think it does make some sense, but I could also see the alternative view that it would be superior to embed youth members or youth interest into the other committees, whether that's behavioral health or racial equity. It's just something, I've thought about the structure of the PCCEP, and if it is the best structure for success going forward. I just think that's something for the committee, and PCCEP staff to consider going forward. I know there's not just one right answer, and I don't think there's any single way to do this. But there's always the alternative ways to go about this to be more successful. So I just would encourage y'all to think about that. If I can be a resource at all, let me know. I know I have some connections with law students. It's a little bit older than college age, but I would think still might fall into the youth category, young 20-year-olds, low 20s. So, let me know how I can help. I want the committee to be successful, and that means all the subcommittees to be successful. So I'm here as a resource.
Thank you, Jared. And we've had a lot of discussions specifically about that and the utility of this subcommittee. And you're right, it's a multifaceted kind of thing, and it's nuanced. We've had discussions about maybe just having each steering committee slot reserved for chairs of subcommittees in the future, right? So then there would be a designated youth spot on the steering committee, but that's only if youth are engaged. And then if you are only getting one youth member engaged, then that one youth member is speaking for all the youth subcommittee. And so then there's like gatekeeping issues and stuff like that. But yes, you're spot on as usual. We're in conversations about that. And I guess we'll just have to keep having conversations about that. And Mary Claire and Anika, I know that you joined us a little bit late, but we're just talking about next steps, I suppose, in terms of this youth subcommittee. And if you have thoughts, please, if you want to share and feel comfortable sharing, please do so.
Sorry for coming to the meeting a little bit late, but it sounds like you're saying that the two members have resigned at some point since between the last meeting and now?
Alana resigned, and Alana
Okay.
chair, and Taji, since taking his place on the steering committee, and then with the 1 million other things that Taji does, he hasn't really had time for this subcommittee in particular, which is fine. But the point of this meeting is to really develop a new direction of this subcommittee, or if this subcommittee needs to take a break or just a temporary hiatus or whatever the case may be, then have those discussions and move those discussions forward. But Gloria has expressed a lot of interest in this subcommittee in particular, and Gloria is a new member. So we really wanted to have that conversation with the community, with city employees, and with Gloria. So that's really the background of this subcommittee meeting.
Thank you, Theo.
Of course.
Theo, I just like to say we had a lot of youth engaged in the protest movement. Has anyone thought about reaching out to those groups like Black Lives Matter and the other groups? Are we opposed to that, or would we use those people?
Sure.
Well, good.
And I think the PCCEP has in the past, just in different subcommittees, specifically the Racial Equity Subcommittee, also the Behavioral Health Subcommittee, and with I know there's been folks from BLM as well as other folks who are involved in the protests at the Core Patrol Services work sessions, as well as the Truth and Reconciliation seminars. So they've been around, and there's been some intentional outreach specifically for folks who are involved in the protests. But not with this subcommittee. So that's important to point out. So perhaps we could go in that direction. So the next agenda item is really for outreach goals. And really that's for folks to give their opinions, their guidance on how you think that PCCEP staff, myself and Claudia, and as well as PCCEP members can really communicate with the community to bring more folks to join in on meetings, whether it's in a PCCEP member capacity, whether it's in a subcommittee capacity, or whether it's just in a general community member, just listening in and giving their input, which is really the heart of the PCCEP work. We've talked about it a little bit, but is there anything else that's striking for you all in terms of outreach?
Theo, what specifically do you do to get youth involved? Do you notify all the high schools, local colleges? Do you notify specific classes like civics classes or whatever they call them these days?
Yeah,
So that people know about PCCEP?
yeah. So we'll go and we'll talk to the criminal justice classes. We'll talk with, it's a collaborative conversation with the criminal justice classes, as well as the community psychology classes, the industrial organizational psychology classes, the public health classes. And then we'll go, and that's not just for places like Portland State, but we have gone to Portland State. But we also go to the private liberal arts colleges around the city and within the city.
But are you actually doing that?
Yep.
Because every person that I talk to has never heard about PCCEP. I haven't met a single person, no matter what age, who has ever heard about PCCEP. I mean, that's sort of sad.
Yeah, it is sad. I wish that were different. I mean, in my conversations, and I suppose my experiences and the experiences of PCCEP staff are going to be anecdotal, but we certainly get out there and we try to do outreach where we can, with the lens of a pandemic, but also in terms of social media. We pay for the broadcasting now on social media, so it's to a broader audience, thanks to the suggestion of Claudia. So we're certainly out there. We've been in classrooms. We've been in online classrooms as well since the pandemic. I was in a classroom earlier today via online. So I mean, certainly, as I said, it's going to be anecdotal, our experiences, but we do try to get into classrooms. I haven't asked to be in high school classrooms yet. I don't know that I would. I don't know that that's a place where I would feel comfortable being in terms of high school. I would rely on the educators that have the relationships with the families and the students there to do that. And we've been in contact with the equity folks there, the equity and inclusion. Their name is escaping me, but we've been in contact. This subcommittee specifically has invited them to meetings, and they've been at meetings to try and get the word out throughout PPS. But we can certainly do a better job with David Douglas and with Park Rose. But does
what about kids organizations like Boys and Girls Club and other young people's organizations?
No, I haven't been to Boys and Girls Clubs. That's a good suggestion. Yeah.
You know, Mount Hood Community College had a program where they gave their students who enrolled in, I don't recall the name of the class, but they gave them credit for doing community outreach. And I think they still do. My daughter works in the registrar's office, and I'm going to ask her if they still do that. And if they do, if the committee does not mind, I would like to reach out to some of those students.
That would be wonderful. Please do. I know that myself, Claudia, and Judith, who is the other staff member who's involved in this, we would love to have a community outreach person on staff at the city level. I know the Amici have voiced that a few times. We would really love to have a community outreach person as a staff member on the PCCEP. And we'd love more hours in the day, but we can't have control over both of them.
Yes.
We only have the one. So I do want to advocate for another staff member, but I know that times are tough in terms of budgeting. So
that's a fantastic idea, Gloria. You know, sometimes when you can double up credit with your volunteering work, it's a way to just, you know, encourage folks to follow through.
Sure.
You know, Theo, in this conversation, one thing I thought of is, you know, reaching out to groups and organizations sometimes has mixed results, whereas targeted outreach to a particular individual can have better results, whether with that person or people they know, or just word of mouth travels. And I recall at Portland State when they were doing a lot of the movement to disarm the campus police, there were several individuals who were, gave interviews at OPB and maybe the Oregonian even, who were, young active leaders who were interested in this topic generally. And it might be worth, an email or trying to reach out or contact those individuals who pop up in the news. And maybe you've already done that, but that's just one thing I thought of.
Yeah, and we've tried that approach a lot of times. I think that one of the things that that comes up is that a lot of times those individuals will just get flooded with a lot of emails, a lot of requests, and they'll triage. They'll get to their most pressing ones, their most interesting ones to them personally. And sometimes it'll be PCCEP, sometimes it won't be. So it really is a hit or miss, but I appreciate that that insight.
Does PPB have their youth advisory council up and running? I know that had been a topic that they were considering. And I know this is a committee that advises the mayor, and maybe there wouldn't be a good overlap to have a member serve both committees. I don't even know if a council got established. But to the extent they have a well or a resource of individuals who are interested, maybe that might be a source for some targeted opportunities.
That started off and then COVID came, as you all recall. And since they haven't been going to class, that sort of, fell. And then of course we don't have the school support officers anymore either. And so they were a big resource for that as well. So I know that one of our officers is still, very involved with the youth groups and what have you, but we don't have a standing committee at this point.
Yeah, and those youth services division, if I'm not mistaken, Mary Claire, they served like 200 or something like that schools, and it was just tremendous.
Yeah.
So that would be a really cool partnership once that's back up and running.
Yeah.
Well, the last item on the agenda is new business. So this is an important one because I really do want to try to identify the next steps if we're going to have a next month subcommittee meeting. If so, who will facilitate that meeting? I'm more than willing to do it, but it's often better when it's done by a PCCEP member. But as I said, I'm happy to do it in the interim. And also, what do you all want to see as useful items on the agenda for next month? What do you want reported back from this month, from our conversations about the future direction, about outreach that we've conducted, about who we've talked to? What would be helpful in terms of next steps for the next month's meeting? And do we want to have a next month's meeting here in October?
I think so. I think that we should. I'd like to have an opportunity to reach out to Mount Hood. I don't want to facilitate the meeting, but I do want to do a little groundwork to see if I can possibly get youth involved. Just a little.
Perfect. Well, whatever you need from Claudia and myself, please let us know. We're here to help in whatever way you feel is helpful. Anybody else have any guidance? I know we have Dr. Silva on the line as a community member. We also have some other brilliant minds here on the call. Please feel free to.
I'm sorry, Theo, but I have to leave now. But I think your emphasis needs to be on recruitment, as we talked about. And once you get some youthful members, it will be easier to look at the direction you want to go. You might want to take a month or two hiatus to accomplish that, put a lot of energy into it. But I don't know that you need to keep having committee meetings and sort of rehashing the same stuff.
Understood. Well,
But
thank
again,
you.
sorry, I need to run off.
I appreciate you being here. Thanks.
Oh, and I just wanted to introduce myself to Gloria. I don't think
Hi.
I've met you before. Hi, my name is Anika Bent Albert, and I'm a deputy city attorney, and I'm the liaison attorney for PCCEP as well as a police advice attorney.
Good.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah.
Anika, have you and Stephanie met?
Yes. It was in my different role when I was the assistant director for IPR.
Oh,
It
that's
was a
right.
few years ago.
That's right.
I think you might have been in traffic.
Yes.
I think.
Yes. That's
So
correct.
hello and welcome back.
Hi, thank you.
Mary Claire usually knows everybody, so I don't know. But if Mary Claire, if you don't know, Stephanie is going to be the liaison for PCCEP, but you probably do know,
Yes.
'cause you know all.
Stephanie, we need to chat.
Okay.
And I just want to encourage Stephanie to provide guidance on how this subcommittee should go, given that the entire PCCEP is really a mayoral committee, and it's advice to the mayor and to the police bureau, but through the police commissioner. So to the extent the mayor has ideas or the mayor's office has ideas, welcome that input here. I like Gloria's idea to keep this committee going and to give her a chance to put an imprint on it through her connections. And again, I'll be here, Gloria, to support you as a lawyer for the plaintiff in the case. And this is 1/7 of our remedy is community engagement and the PCCEP. So it would be great to connect with you offline to share with you the vision that the United States has for this committee to work, and that means the subcommittee as well. So I'll reach out to you separately, and
Please.
perhaps we can get a coffee or a lunch set up.
Please.
Well, Jared, I like your idea, but especially since the upper age limit for the youth is 24, I like your idea of embedding them in some of the other committees, because those are, then they can affect committees that are going to affect them more as they actually get older as adults.
Thank you very much. And Jared, as you know, the good days are 1/7 coffee. So I hope you all get some good coffee in 1/7 of your day. For a while, at the very beginning of the PCCEP, the mayor's office really took a hands-off approach, and PCCEP committee members really wanted more guidance. And then the mayor's office had a few more things, but it's really, so it's gone in a lot of different directions, but really I think getting toward the middle and a really collaborative relationship with the mayor's office is what's needed now and moving forward. And that's just what I've heard from other PCCEP committee members and members of the community. It's really that collaboration where it's not necessarily like telling the PCCEP to go and look at this, and then afterward the PCCEP finds out that they're going to be looking at this, and then or just saying nothing. So there really is a happy medium, and I think that happy mediums are being identified in other places in PCCEP. I know that police officers have started coming a lot more to subcommittee meetings where they feel comfortable, and that's been really helpful to recommendations. And I think the PCCEP members in the community appreciate that. But that's all to say that it's good work, and I'm glad that you're here, Gloria, as well as the rest of you. Is there any other new business, any other things that you all want to talk about?
We didn't discuss if we were going to have an October meeting. And may I say this? I would hate for us to lose this momentum. We seem like, I don't know if the direction was the intent of all the community members, but it seems like we're talking recruit, we're talking about outreach, and I would like for us to continue.
Yeah. I think it's important to have the October meeting.
Yeah, it's easy for me to say because I'm retired and the rest of you have jobs, but
This is our job. This is me and Claudia's job. Jared, he gets coffee most of the days, but I believe he has a job. It's probably an important one. I'm just kidding. Yes, this is our job. We're happy to support in any way that we can. I think an October meeting sounds appropriate, and that should be the next thing that we do. So we'll get that scheduled. Does the second Monday of the week work for you, or do you have a preference on days, Gloria?
Second Monday is fine, I think, so far. Let me just look at my calendar. Second Monday's fine.
That will be a holiday. This coming October will be Indigenous Peoples Day.
Oh.
So maybe we go to a different Monday, or
like the third Monday?
Oh, there's feds. Do you have it off, Jared? Because the state doesn't have it off and the city doesn't have it off, so.
Oh, we get it off, but I'll still call in if you guys are having a meeting.
Yeah, let's just, I mean, I don't know that anybody else has it off.
Sorry, I didn't know the state holidays.
Yeah.
The city doesn't have it Indigenous Peoples Day? What about for Indigenous people with tribal IDs? Do we get it?
Nice try. Although if you can get it for us, Theo, that'd be awesome.
Who do I talk to about this?
City council.
The mayor's office, right?
That's right. Stephanie, your first job, should you accept it? Is to get us another holiday.
I think you're just trying to scare me away.
And then everybody who's non-native has to send really nice emails to native folk.
There you go.
But we can do it on the second or third Monday, either way.
Second is okay for me.
Okay, we can keep it there. And does this time work for you as well, Gloria, 5 o'clock?
It does.
Okay.
It does. Good.
Well, unless there's anything else, I really thank you all for your time. We're going to get going a little bit early, but we knew that was probably going to be the case going in. But thank you all so much for the work that you do here and elsewhere. And we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks a lot.
Take care.